This doesn't look like a country on the verge of war, invasion, possible occupation. With the Orthodox Christmas just over, Ukrainians are still in holiday mood, trying where possible not to think about the troops and tanks lined up on their border. But of course everyone here knows that nations much greater than theirs are right now discussing their future. In Geneva today, it was like the Cold War had never ended. The US and Russia discussing European security with no European at the table. Today's talks do seem to have gone as well as could be expected, the Americans saying they'll take no decisions without the Ukrainians being on board. The Russians have dialed back the rhetoric somewhat, but continue to insist on things that are most unlikely to be conceded.
Ukraine and Georgia will never ever become members of NATO. That would be a welcome change to the better in the position of NATO. We are fed up with loose talk, half promises.
Back in Kiev, the country's deputy foreign minister, who herself fled her home in Crimea after the last Russian invasion, doesn't think her country is going to be sold out. Do you trust the Americans not to betray you at this stage?
The US is our strategic partner. We have to be very clear, saying to Russia that what could they expect in case if they attack Ukraine one more time. The second is the economic thing, is exactly the number of sanctions or those instruments of sanctions that will be immediately exploited as soon as Russia does what they can consider doing.
If he does invade, can Ukraine defend itself?
Yes.
They have been preparing. We were taken to an underground bunker in the capital, a legacy of the nuclear fears back in the Cold War. Alexander Kalugin has been overseeing its refurbishment, ready for a new conflict. Are you worried? Of course, he said. I'm a 30-year military veteran. I know the dangers. Russia, of course, already occupies part of Ukraine. A wall of photographs commemorates the thousands of soldiers who have died and are still dying in eastern Ukraine in the last 8 years. But what the world is trying to avert now will be much worse, much more deadly, and the greatest threat to European peace in many decades.